So, one of the most common challenges with building new habits is that people bite off more than they can chew. They decide to try to do too much. And this is, I have made this mistake more times than I can count. So, it is something that is very natural to do. I think, particularly for ambitious people, there's kind of this conversation in their head where they sit down and they start thinking about the changes they're going to make. And then the assumption in the back of their mind, even if they don't state it explicitly, is, man, like what could I do if I really got going? Like, what would peak performance look like for me? If I was like really on my game and like living my best days, if I really have my habits dialed in, what could I achieve? And I think when you're in that mindset, which is great, it's great to be hopeful and dream about where you could go. It's also really easy to end up doing too much. Oh, well, I'm going to change 5, 6, 7 habits at the same time. And rather than asking yourself, what could I do on my best day? I actually think the place to start is by asking, what can I stick to even on the bad days? And that becomes your baseline. That becomes the new habit that you try to get established. And once you establish that, then you can start to feel successful and feel like you're moving forward. You gain some progress and a feeling of momentum. And then, great, now you're showing up each day, and there's all kinds of things that you can do from there.
And so does that mean your guidance is in general, don't try and like make this massive change all at once, but think about this more as a series of like smaller habit changes step by step? And is that in
Sure.
fact what the sort of the science shows is more successful?
So I think let me give you two examples that'll probably help clarify. So the first one, this is just a really simple tactic. I think a very actionable thing that you can use for building better habits. I call it the 2-minute rule. And it just says, take whatever habit you're trying to build and you scale it down to something that takes 2 minutes or less to do. So read 30 books a year becomes read one page, or do yoga 4 days a week becomes take out my yoga mat. Now, sometimes people resist that a little bit because they're like, okay, buddy, I know the real goal isn't just to take my yoga mat out. I know I'm actually trying to do the workout. So if this is some kind of trick and I know it's a trick, then why would I fall for it, basically? But I have this reader. His name's Mitch. I mentioned him in Atomic Habits. He lost over 100 pounds. So what is that, 40, 50 kilos. And he kept it off for more than a decade. And he had this strange little rule for himself where he first started going to the gym. For the first like 6 weeks, he wasn't allowed to stay for longer than 5 minutes. So he would get in the car, drive to the gym, get out, do half an exercise, get back in the car, drive home. And it sounds ridiculous. It sounds silly. It's not going to get the guy the results that he wants. But what you realize is that he was mastering the art of showing up. He was becoming the type of person that went to the gym 4 days a week, even if it was only for 5 minutes. And this is a pretty deep truth about habits, which is that a habit must be established before it can be improved. It has to become the standard in your life before you can scale it up and turn it into something more. You need to standardize before you optimize.